All right, and we are live, episode 3 of the Varsity podcast. Today is March 22nd, 2022, our first Tuesday episode. And we are now officially done with the first weekend in the NCAA tournament, kind of a wild one. We'll recap that one today. We'll also look at our brackets, look at our women's bracket, which is kind of killing it. We kind of got screwed last night, but we'll get into that. We can even kind of take a peek at like our NIT bracket and all that. And then we'll get into other stuff maybe as we go. But let's start off with the NCAA tournament. A lot of pretty solid teams went down in the opening weekend, including my champion, Beeve. I believe your champion was also Kentucky.
I was out 10 hours into the damn tournament, Jim.
Yep. And the podcast champion, of course, because that was our podcast bracket. Kentucky went down, but it was to your St. Peter's, so I guess that's at least something.
Can't even be mad about it.
Yeah. It was a tough weekend for a lot of teams. Some really good teams went down, but it's kind of been one of those years where I've said this before. I feel like I don't even know if there is a team that can win 6 games in a row, but somebody's going to have to. And 4 more to go for these teams. So let's just get right into it. I can even pull up the bracket and kind of compare. So, yeah, for those watching, if anyone is watching, we've figured out how to screen share finally. All right, let's pull up the podcast bracket, and we're just going to go over how the bracket's doing and also just go over kind of the tournament itself. So sharing screen, and I want this tab. Bear with me. All right, so I believe that should be showing it. All right. So we're going to start. I'll zoom in a little bit. We'll start with the, what region? The West. That should be. All right, I think we can see it all. All right. Gonzaga beats Georgia State. That game was closer than it had to be for a long period of time. Gonzaga ended up winning it by 21 points, but I believe Georgia State, did they have a lead at some point in the second half?
Early? I'm not sure, but it's close, and Gonzaga needed a 21-0 run.
Yeah.
Which was the deciding factor of the game. So
right.
It was close till about halfway through the second half. Yeah.
A lot closer than it needed to be. I don't know. Not much else to say about that. I mean, they're the overall 1 seed. They've kind of done this all year where when they've needed to step up in games, they have, and that's why they are where they are. Boise State, Memphis, we got that one right, and Memphis kind of, I think they were up by a lot more at one point.
Big.
And then kind of came crashing down, ended up winning by 11. Not a ton to say, I don't think, about that game in particular. And then, of course, those two met in a really awesome round of 32 matchup where Memphis had a 10-point halftime lead. They were hanging on to it for a while, and then ultimately Gonzaga pulls away with that one, wins it by 4. Any notes on that matchup at all?
Timmy took over.
Yeah.
He was MVP of the tournament so far.
He had a great second half of that game. Yeah. All right. Then New Mexico State upset UConn. That one was, I think it was on a lot of people's radar, but still kind of caught me off guard a little bit because UConn's been a pretty solid team this year. It's your classic 12-5. One of them needed to happen. That wasn't the one I expected to happen, but New Mexico State played well and then got the job done. I don't know anything on that one. I didn't really have much.
Teddy Allen is a former Nebraska. He transferred from Nebraska, and he kind of just took over that game against UConn.
Yeah. Well, that got them to the round of 32, and they played Arkansas, who narrowly beat Vermont. We didn't get that upset quite right. 75-71, Arkansas took it. Last year, Arkansas squeaked by Colgate, ended up in the Elite Eight, and they might just do that again this year. They're in the Sweet 16 because they beat New Mexico State in an ugly game, 53-48. It was kind of sloppy, but Arkansas got that job done. Anything on Arkansas's run so far?
I think they'll run into quite the task here against Gonzaga.
Yeah.
I would have to agree.
Gonzaga's had some interesting games so far, but I mean, they are the best team in the country for a reason, so should be a decent game. That's in 2 days here, so on Thursday, we'll see. And then Notre Dame upset Alabama. We had that one in our bracket. I believe we were thinking Rutgers when we made that pick, but we get it right. Alabama, they rely on the 3-ball. Couldn't get hot enough, I guess, and Notre Dame was able to beat them pretty handedly. There was never really much doubt in that one. And Notre Dame put on a nice little run with the close win against Rutgers and then the upset win over Alabama. Any thoughts on them?
Well, they got hot at the right time and then didn't get hot against Texas Tech.
Yeah. Yep. And Texas Tech crushed Montana State. That one was a blowout from the beginning. 97-62 final score. And then they go and beat Notre Dame 59-53. And they're going to have a matchup against Duke, who got past CSU Fullerton and then beat out Michigan State yesterday. And what was
that game was close.
2 days ago. And that was tough because we're thinking maybe that could be the end of Coach K's run. Obviously, he took down Tom Izzo, which I believe I saw was the most frequent matchup between coaches in NCAA tournament history or something like that. That was like their 6th meeting in March, which is crazy. And MSU squeaked one past Davidson. That was actually a really good game, but couldn't quite get to the Sweet 16. So that sets up Texas Tech and Duke. Should be a good one. Texas Tech has looked pretty solid, and they're a good team. They've had a good year. They had some really nice marquee wins, so we'll see if they can take down the Blue Devils. Interestingly enough, the 1 through 4 seeds all made it into the Sweet 16 in that region. So that was the only region that happened, but interesting. Anything else in the West that you guys want to note from last weekend?
No,
Okay.
Not really.
All right. Well, this is where it gets interesting. I would say, obviously, when the 1 through 4 seeds get in, it's not as interesting. This is where it gets really interesting. Starting off, Baylor handedly beats Norfolk State, to no one's surprise, 85-49. And then maybe the blowout of the first round was North Carolina, the 8 seed, beating a 9 seed Marquette 95-63. That game was nuts. North Carolina was just playing lights out, and they're a team that is very streaky, and when they're at their best, they look great, and when they're at their worst, they don't look like an NCAA tournament team. They met up with Baylor in the round of 32, got off to a huge lead. They were up by 25 points, and then Baylor comes back, of course. Caleb Manick gets ejected. Did you guys see that at all?
It's Brady Manick.
Brady Manick, my bad.
I did see that as iffy call, in my opinion.
That's how I thought. Yeah, it was tough. I felt like because what was it, a flagrant 2 they called?
Yeah, and then he got ejected.
Felt like it probably. I mean, there might have been some intent to it because right before he kind of got it, like he was probably a little pissed, but come on. He's not looking at him. I didn't think the elbow was overly aggressive, but they found that there was too much intent to it, I guess, maybe. And tossed him out of the game. He was playing super well in the second half. Baylor comes back, forces overtime. It's looking like Baylor's going to move on, and then UNC gets life. They hit a 3 early on in overtime, I believe, and then just kind of maintained the lead from there. But I would say that was probably the most exciting game of the tournament so far. I don't know about you guys. But for me, I enjoyed watching that game. I actually was watching it, fell asleep for about 5 minutes once North Carolina was up. I wake up, and all of a sudden it's like a 10-point game. I was like, what the heck is going on? And ended up being a good one. St. Mary's, Indiana. We thought Indiana might pull that one off. Clearly that was wrong.
Yeah.
82-53. Hoosiers were looking good coming into that game, and it did not go their way at all. St. Mary's was in total control, dominated that game on their way to the round of 32, where they faced UCLA, who barely survived an Akron team, 57-53, and then they go and kind of slap St. Mary's, 72-56. You think UCLA's got a little run in them again?
I don't know.
North Carolina, again, they've been a streaky team. I think that'll be a fun matchup, actually.
I think if the North Carolina team shows up that showed up in the first 2 rounds, I think they're going to the Final Four out of this region.
Yeah, I think that's very fair.
With all the teams with Kentucky gone now, they beat Baylor.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And so now we'll get to the bottom half of that region, as you're kind of alluding to there. First game, Texas beats the ACC champ Virginia Tech, 81-73. I had been high on Texas, and then before this tournament, I decided it wasn't going to be. I mean, they won 1 round and then lost, so I'm not going to. I'm just realizing Texas is just not that good of a program, and I'm just gonna stick with it. I thought the Chris Beard addition would help. I don't really think it has that much, because Texas Tech is doing better than Texas is. So sometimes it's just the program, honestly. And then Purdue beats Yale by 22, beats Texas by 10. They made the Big Ten look a little bit better after that rough showing on Sunday. And they're off to the Sweet 16, playing, of course, St. Peter's, the 15 seed, who destroyed half of America's bracket with the shocking 85-79 upset over Kentucky. And then they beat Murray State by 10 after Murray State had a grinder with San Francisco. I don't know. I mean, that's about as shocking. If you would have told me St. Peter's was going to be in the Sweet 16, I would have thought you were crazy. But here we are. So teams that are left in that region are UNC, UCLA, Purdue, and St. Peter's. So you just never know with these things. Any comments on that region?
I think it's wide open right now, Jim.
You think St. Peter's could pull it off?
Probably not, but I mean, you see what they did in the first 2 rounds. I guess you can't count them out. But, I mean, between Purdue, UCLA, North Carolina, I wouldn't be surprised if any of them are in the Final Four.
Yeah, fair. All right, let's move over to – what is this? The South region. All right, so 1 seed Arizona – decent game against Wright State. They win by 17. And then a grinder with TCU. That one ended up in overtime. After, by the way, TCU crushed Seton Hall, ruined my grandma's bracket. But I did warn her. I told her I thought TCU was winning. But that was a grinder game. TCU almost had it. I still think that there was a little foul there at the end of regulation on Arizona. I think they got screwed. But Arizona survives 85-80. I mean, what do you think? A lot of people were high on Arizona. What do you guys think of that? Because, I mean, they didn't look – I mean, TCU looked really good, but Arizona didn't look like this unstoppable force that a lot of people have been making them out to be.
I think they're a good offensive team. I'm not sure how great their defense is. I think Houston could win this game.
Yeah, and so now getting to that, Houston beats Jelly Walker and UAB. They win by 14. Then Illinois, who barely survived Chattanooga, they were losing basically the entire game, all but like the last 20 seconds. They met up in the round of 32, and then Houston kind of killed them. They won by 15. Houston looked really good. Houston is one of those teams that the numbers seem to love. They're ranked like 2 in KenPom, I want to say. Again, I'm not necessarily sold on those metrics, but it's going to make for a really good matchup with Arizona, I think. That one, obviously, to go to the Elite Eight, a 1 versus 5, but Houston might have been underseeded a little bit, and we're seeing it now.
Yeah. Did you see the technical foul like it got called on Illinois?
Oh, on Illinois.
Terrible.
That was ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because you can even, like, obviously there's a little rivalry this year with Illinois and the Badgers, and I think every Badger fan that saw it was probably in agreement, like, come on. And I think who was the announcer of that game was not happy.
I think
it was Chris Webber.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Yeah, Chris Webber. Well, whoever it was.
I think so.
I'm trying to remember. I don't know, but whoever it was.
That was him or Reggie Miller.
Oh, it was Reggie Miller. That was it.
Reggie Miller, yes.
Yep. That's what I was thinking. Well, I didn't think of it. Yeah. Anyway, he was not happy, and rightfully. I mean, I don't know.
If he lets go and doesn't swing back, he's gonna fall right on his back.
Yeah. He's gonna break his neck.
Yeah. I wonder if that would have played out how the rest would have felt. But I mean, like, come on. And I mean, I just feel like sometimes the refs need to just chill out. They're kids. Let them play. Let them. I don't know. And yeah, whatever. Ridiculous. Either way, Illinois lost by 15, but it still was very questionable. Yeah. So Houston, Arizona, that'll be a good one. Heading down in that bracket, Colorado State was looking good in the first half against Michigan, and then Michigan kind of took over, ends up winning that one by 12. And we may never hear the end of that one on Twitter. They move on to the round of 32 to play against Tennessee, who's looking hotter than anyone in the country, coming off a 32-point win against Longwood in round 1. And somehow Michigan goes and wins by 8. And then, of course, Juwan Howard looks like the good guy for comforting Tennessee players after the game. And now Michigan fans will not shut up about how they are one of the last 2 Big Ten teams in this tournament. And they shouldn't even be here. But they are. And here they are. So, I don't know. You guys have any thoughts on Michigan? I mean, they're probably all negative if you do.
I don't know. Like you said, they shouldn't be here. But whatever.
Yep, they are, and they're proving
here.
that they are
They're
a good
here.
team. Where this was in the regular season, I have no idea. But whatever. They're playing their best basketball now, and we'll see how far they go. Ohio State, with a stifling defensive effort against Loyola Chicago, although Loyola Chicago did not look good in that game at all. 54-41 win for the Buckeyes. And then they met up with Villanova, who beat Delaware by 20. And Villanova goes and wins that one by 10. I don't know. Anything of note in any of those games?
I don't think it's going to be an easy game for Villanova.
Yeah, Michigan's playing well.
Edwards is actually showing. I don't know. I think any of those 4 teams could come out of that bracket, out of that region again.
I want to lean towards whoever wins in the top part will probably, but who knows? But yeah, I think there's right now, that's kind of how everything's looking. It's like, just because I don't think there's any team so far that's been super, super convincing, but we'll see. And then the last one is the Midwest region. This one hurts. Kansas cruised by Texas Southern. Creighton beat San Diego State in a pretty good game. That one was the one that I thought was supposed to be like a defensive battle with both these teams in the 40s. Ended up being 72-69. Creighton edged San Diego State, and then they played Kansas really tight. That was actually a pretty good game. Jayhawks get it done, win by 7. They're in the Sweet 16. And they will play Providence, who a lot of people were pretty low on heading into the tournament. They managed to beat South Dakota State, who was like the hottest team in the country. They win that one by 9. And Iowa gets upset by Richmond, which was kind of shocking after the way Iowa looked in the Big Ten tournament. And then Richmond just no match for Providence. Providence wins by 28. And so now Providence is in the Sweet 16. And all this, they keep getting doubted. They find ways to win. Here they are. Kansas is a good team, but I wouldn't count Providence out of this game. I think it'll be an interesting game. I also do think both these teams, the way they're playing right now, I would say are worthy of potentially making it to the Final Four, but only one can move on to the Elite Eight. Anything of note, like that Iowa game or anything in that part of the bracket you guys want to touch on?
We just got to continue with their tradition of not making it out of the first weekend.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, I heard rumblings on Twitter that McCaffrey might get the boot. I don't know if maybe something about him favoring his kids or something. I don't know what that was all about.
Some Wayne guy was tweeting about it.
Yeah. But no, it's tough when you play well in your conference tournament and then go to the NCAA tournament and lay an egg. But that's what Iowa did this year, and
that's what Tennessee did as well.
Tennessee did it, yeah, and makes it difficult on brackets too, because you just don't know. Do you go with the teams that are playing well? I guess not. You just don't know anything these days. Anything else though on that part, or should we move on to the dreaded part?
Get it over with.
All right, so we'll start LSU Iowa State. That was a pretty bad game, honestly. Iowa State wins 59-54. Neither team looked very good. Then we get Wisconsin-Colgate, and Colgate played Wisconsin tough, as many thought they would. And in the end, Wisconsin pulled away Johnny Davis with a masterful second half. It's like, okay, they got that win. Now they're playing 11-seed Iowa State, who doesn't really have much of an offense. And their offense doesn't show up. Now, granted, so let's just get into this Badger-Iowa State game. Obviously, we're Badger fans. Chucky Hepburn going down was massive. And I think that is probably getting overlooked a little too much, especially outside of like Badger Nation. But I mean, this is the team that had the fewest turnovers in college basketball, and they were turning the ball over seemingly every possession once he left. It's tough when you don't have your facilitator and also a guy that can step up and make big shots from time to time. It kills you. And I mean, to only allow 54 points, like they were very much in that game, and some of those points came at the end on free throws. It's like, I mean, you don't want to like make excuses, but that's a pretty darn good excuse.
Well, either way, though, backup point guard either. So
yeah, very true.
So even if they have their backup point guard, I still think they'd win. But Iowa State does play really good defense.
Yeah,
and
credit to them. Their defense was great. Made it very tough on the Badgers. Badgers did have some open shots that they just didn't knock down, but that's kind of been the story of their season. Their shooting has not been their strong suit, and it obviously wasn't on Sunday night. So Iowa State moves on, and then this is probably the biggest punch to the gut. They're going to be playing the 10 seed Miami, who smoked Auburn after Auburn did pretty well against Jacksonville State, who shouldn't have even been in the tournament, as we've talked about, because Bellarmine should have, but whatever. Miami had squeaked one against USC, and it was like, okay, cool. Like, they looked all right. Maybe they'll have a chance against Auburn. They win 79-61 against Auburn. And it's like, are you kidding me? So we're going to get the 10 versus the 11 there. Iowa State, Miami. I don't know. That's rough. It's rough when you see your team in that corner and not in the Elite Eight. But it's March. Things happen, I guess. And it's tough, but it was a good season for the Badgers. They crushed their expectations. It's just, you feel bad for the group because it did feel like a special group, and ultimately that's it for probably a few guys on the team. Obviously, Davison for sure, and then Vogt is done, and Higginbottom, but most likely Johnny Davis as well. And so we'll see. Be interesting to see how they come back next year, but that's it for their season this year. Any thoughts on the bracket in general, though, before we move on?
I think it's Kansas's to lose.
Okay.
Has to be.
In this region.
Okay.
This region.
Okay.
I don't know about the
I
bracket
agree.
itself, but this region.
All right. I agree with that. All right. So while we're on this topic, do you guys want to do, I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Do you guys want to do the second chance bracket?
Let's do it.
All right. I'm popping it up quickly. Okay. All right. Well, this is easy. I could have just stayed in the. Whoops. All right. Share screen. All right. And I probably shouldn't have exited out. I didn't know it would be that easy. All right. So Gonzaga, Arkansas. Feel like we probably are going to be in agreement here, but does anyone think Arkansas is going to pull off the upset? No, I'm not super sold on Arkansas. I never am. I'm good with Gonzaga here. All right, Texas Tech, Duke. I think this is going to be a good game.
I like Texas Tech here.
Are we thinking that?
I can't pick Coach K, so.
That's fair.
I mean,
I had Gonzaga, Texas Tech in my personal bracket, so
starting to get.
What I'm saying.
Although, can I just say one thing?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be sweet if they played UNC in the Final Four?
I was going
North
to
Carolina
throw that out there, Jim. I was going to throw that out there, but I don't trust Duke to beat Gonzaga. I really don't.
Yeah. I mean, I'm good with picking Texas Tech here. I want to put that energy into the world.
When I said I can see North Carolina going to the Final Four, that would be so awesome if they knock Coach K out in the Final Four.
That would be the perfect ending. Although I think Coach K would consider coming back if that were the case.
Oh,
who knows? Although
he made such a big deal about this. There's no way he comes back.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, I mean, just the mass celebration they've had for him. Yeah. If he were to come back, that's an all-time scumbag move.
Mm-hmm.
Gonzaga, Texas Tech. I'm probably thinking Gonzaga here. I don't know if you guys have thoughts. I feel like they're at least a Final Four team. Unless you guys think Texas Tech is playing well.
It's the most logical pick, but I mean, Gonzaga showed that they're beatable.
Yeah, they're very vulnerable. I thought Gonzaga they were going to lose for a lot of that game against Memphis.
it is the smart pick, but Memphis did kind of show that they are not maybe as strong as we think.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we still got to pick Gonzaga. I think it would be a smartest pick.
I mean, Adam, they were your champion. You good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now the East region where things have been interesting. North Carolina, they've looked very good at points in this tournament. Other than maybe the second half of the second half once they lost Brady Manic. But UCLA also looked really good against St. Mary's. Didn't look as great against Akron. I have no idea what to think of this game.
I have no clue either, Jim.
So ironically, I had North Carolina in my Elite Eight.
If I'm being honest, Jim,
I don't know.
The first bracket I made of March Madness, I had North Carolina in my Elite Eight. Just because of, like you said, saw that game against Duke and was like,
yeah, when they're playing their best, they've looked really good this year.
Yeah, I watched the game against Duke, and I was like, okay, these guys can ball. And I was like, okay, maybe they can beat Baylor. They did beat Baylor.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, this is tough.
It's tough.
I don't even know where to go here. But UCLA made it to the Final Four. They got championship experience on their side. I'm good with picking either. Just because North Carolina stepped up in overtime without Manic, I wouldn't hate that pick, but whatever you guys think.
That would be my pick, is North Carolina.
All right.
That's who I would lean to as well, Jim.
With that. And then Purdue and St. Peter's. I mean, it's hard for me to actually pick St. Peter's. They keep obviously proving everyone wrong. But, like, we even saw this with Florida Gulf Coast. Eventually, these Cinderellas, like, have to fall, right?
Not only do they fall, but they can get absolutely clapped by Purdue.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could be an ugly blowout.
You think Purdue wins by 30?
It's possible.
All right, so I think we're all in agreement there.
I don't want to think that they will, but I mean, a lot of times, like you said, these high seeds that get far, I mean, it doesn't just come to an end; they get clapped.
100%. Okay. I just given the this matchup again. I've had a Big Ten bias, but I like Purdue against North Carolina a lot. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I do too.
I like it. I mean, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. North Carolina has had a good run so far in the tournament. I feel like this is probably where it would end.
I would think so.
You never know. All right, let's move on to the South region. Arizona, Houston. We kind of were talking about it. Adam, you kind of mentioned maybe Houston here.
I don't know.
This is tough. This is a tough one.
Arizona's favored by 1.5.
Okay.
Public bet is taking Houston money line.
Wow. Really?
53% according to CBS, which uses odds by Caesars Sportsbook.
I mean, wow.
Public bet is 53% Houston.
Interesting. That's interesting because
71% of the public bet has the spread for Arizona. So
okay. Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't hate Houston here. I
don't either.
I doubted Arizona in the Pac-12 tournament. That's why I'm a little bit hesitant to doubt them again. Just because I'm like, I wasn't sold on them. Obviously, I wasn't super sold on any Pac-12 team. Hence why I picked Washington State of all teams. But, I mean, I kind of like Houston here.
Yeah, I think I'm going Houston.
I do too. Like I said with Gonzaga, I mean, Arizona's proven that they're vulnerable going to overtime with TCU.
Yep. Okay, I hate this next matchup.
Talent-wise, Michigan can win this game, but I refuse myself to pick Michigan. If we pick Michigan as a podcast, that's fine, but I will refuse to pick them myself.
Okay, so
I was going to pick Villanova, so.
All right, then we'll pick Villanova. I'll be rooting for Villanova. This is the one time where I'm probably not rooting for the Big Ten.
I feel like as a podcast, we can't pick Michigan.
Yeah. All right, I'm good. You know what? Yeah, Michigan's not winning this game. They're just not. All right, Kansas Providence. I hate this because
Kansas.
I mean the pick is Kansas.
It's Kansas and Kansas again, I think, regardless of who they're playing.
Right, but I just hate this because we're picking against Providence, which feeds into their narrative, which means they're probably going to win. But I don't know how you could not pick Kansas here.
Correct.
You feel like you have to.
Providence is just, they keep finding ways, and I enjoy watching Providence. I'm not going to lie. I don't mind rooting for them, but I don't know. We'll go with Kansas, and then I want to go with Miami here.
I say Miami. I think it
might be a revenge thing, but
that's fine. Yeah,
I don't want to see Iowa State in
either way. Kansas is going to the Final Four. So
yeah. Oh, and then we never picked between Villanova and Houston.
This could go either way here.
Yeah. So my gut was kind of going Houston. Now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, it's probably going to be Villanova, and that might be the safer pick.
My gut was Villanova, and I went the other way as you did. My gut went Villanova, and now I'm trying to talk myself into Houston.
All right.
So we're flipped.
So we're split right now, Adam.
We're split.
Yeah, I like Villanova.
All right, Beav, you okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. We'll go back over here. Gonzaga, Purdue.
I think it's Gonzaga.
Gonzaga.
Yeah, that's fair. One thing I'll be curious is to see how Chet goes against the Purdue bigs, just because Chet is so skinny compared. And I've actually kind of wondered this a lot, before he even played this year. If he were in the Big Ten, how he'd fare with some of the Big Ten bigs, just because he is smaller. But I mean, he's really skilled, and Drew Timmy's playing well, so
yep,
I'm fine with that. Then I think Kansas I want to go with, but I'll let you guys talk me out of it if you guys think Villanova.
It's a smart pick.
Okay.
But do we want a 1 seed versus a 1 seed in the championship?
Well, let's just be very clear. This is our redemption bracket, our second chance. Might be better to play it safe. Also, the majority of upsets in the tournament happened earlier.
Yes.
So I don't totally hate this. Having 2 1 seeds. And there are 3 1 seeds left.
That's fair.
So statistically, it's not that improbable. Is this, I mean, writing is kind of on the wall. Is this the year Gonzaga wins it all finally?
Has to be.
All right. I'm fine with it. If we get this right, I count that as a victory from the get-go. It's called a second chance for a reason. It's not called I don't know. It's a second chance. It's not called a counts for half credit. This is second chance. They're giving it. So I count this completely. If we get this right, we basically have a perfect bracket. Score predictions. This feels like it would be higher scoring.
Yeah.
I feel like any game.
84 to 79 or something like that.
Okay. I'm good with 79. And what's the losing score?
No, 80. Winning score is 84.
84? I'm sorry, I misheard. I love it. All right, we're done. Submit. Varsity podcast bracket. Gonzaga. Congratulations, Gonzaga. You've won the national championship. All right.
And they're going to lose to Arkansas now.
Maybe. All right. Enough of that. Let's take a look at our draft pool really quickly. So thank you to those who joined us. I believe we had 2 people join us, which was 2 more than I expected.
Lucas, dude.
Yeah. So shout out Zan, shout out Lucas. They joined us. I'm not going to pull up any brackets. I'm just going to go over standings. Lucas is winning. Zan and Adam are tied in second. Beav and I are tied in fourth. And the podcast bracket is in dead last.
Yeah.
I think we were looking pretty good for a while. I mean, other than Kentucky losing.
Oh, we weren't
Camps
looking
are in
good
play for everyone except for Beav and I in the podcast. But if Gonzaga goes on to win, Adam, you're going to have this for sure. So,
it's $10,000 grand prize, right?
Something like that. Yeah. I think Lucas is paying, he said. He'd pay the winner.
I think so.
Lucas by far has the most points possible remaining. He's got 6 of his Elite 8 teams left, his full Final Four.
Jeez. All right, well, shout out to the guy. This is Lucas's bracket to lose. It happens. It's March. He's got Duke winning it all, so I'm not rooting for his bracket. And Zam, he's doing pretty good. Yeah, what is he? 10 points behind Lucas right now. So, I mean, you guys are all neck and neck, the 3 of you. It's not a super far drop off with Beav and I, but we don't really have much. Especially me, I don't have anything left on the board.
I mean, it's going to be tough to win unless Gonzaga, Duke, and Arizona all lose. So,
yeah. How far did you guys have Kansas going?
Them in the Final Four, I believe, losing to Tennessee.
I had them in the Final Four, losing to Villanova.
Okay, well, I have them in the title game, so maybe if that happens, I'll not take dead last. We'll see. All right. That's all we really need to go over that. We also did a fun little draft, if you guys remember last episode. And so, quick update on the standings. Adam, you have 14 points. I have 12 points. Beav, you have 11, and the field has 11. Nice. And then remaining, Adam has Arizona, Villanova, UCLA, and Houston. So you have a 1, 2, a 4, and a 5. So that's pretty good. I've got Kansas, Providence, which they're playing each other. So going to lose one and keep one. UNC, Miami, and Michigan. So, Adam, we have a couple matchups there. And then, Beav, you have Gonzaga, Purdue, and St. Peter's. So, honestly, not a horrible with Gonzaga and Purdue. You could get a Final Four there and guarantee yourself a team in the championship. Also, Gonzaga is a great pick to have. And then the field has Duke and Texas Tech who are playing each other. Then they have Arkansas and Iowa State. So, they could very well be down to just the winner of Duke, Texas Tech. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of been an interesting twist so far. Adam, you're in a prime position right now because you have some really good teams left. So we'll see but I still think anyone can win except for the field. I don't think the field really has a chance. But Beav with Gonzaga there and Purdue as well. I mean, you got a good chance of 2 Final Four teams. So we'll see. I mean, I like that I have Kansas, but the rest of I got lucky because I have an 8, 10, and 11 still in somehow. The rest of mine sucked, but that's how it goes. You just never know. And Kentucky, I had the first pick in that round. They lose. Iowa, same thing. It's so you just never know. And that's kind of the fun of this. I don't know, but that was a fun little draft we did. Anything you guys want to say about that? I mean, there's not really much to say. All right, we'll move on. Women's tournament. This is what I really want to get into because we were in the 99.8 percentile at one point yesterday. And then the worst finish to a game I have ever watched was Belmont, Tennessee. We had Belmont And I'm telling you, we would have been top 500 in the world if Belmont pulls this one up. They're up by 2 with 20 seconds left, get fouled. They have a 71% free throw shooter at the line. Unfortunately, she misses both. Tennessee goes down the floor and hits just the most outrageous corner 3. They hadn't been shooting that well all night. I had watched the whole game. Belmont made an amazing comeback, and I was so pumped up. And then Tennessee goes on, takes that 1-point lead. Belmont goes down the court, and then they throw it down the court because they pushed the pace. Somebody got down by the hoop and couldn't quite hang on to it.
Wide open layup.
Although I do think, I don't know if you saw the replay, it could have gone off the Tennessee player's thumb. They reviewed it for about 5 minutes. I thought it was getting reversed. It didn't. Tennessee goes on to win. I was heartbroken by that one. So that kind of hurt the bracket. And then we lost LSU as well. So we've lost Iowa and LSU, both Final Four teams. But other than that, I mean, this bracket has looked really good. We didn't lose. After the first round, we had, I think, 5 wrong out of the 32 games. None of those 5 teams we had in the Sweet 16. Like, we killed it. So our men's knowledge has not looked great, but we are killing it on the women's tournament. Actually, let me see what percentile we're in. I mean, we're still like 90-something percentile. We still have our championship game. 99 percentile still. We have 510 points, which, what was like our men's bracket at? Like the best in our group? 410?
Something around there.
So we are dominating in the women's bracket. We have 5 Elite 8 teams left, and then 2 Final Four in both our championship. So we'll see. That Final Four coming up in a week and a half. I was looking at tickets. They're $50 for both Final Four games in Minneapolis. We can talk about this, but if you guys are open on that weekend, doing a little road trip, potentially go see the Final Four. I don't know, but yeah, I mean it's actually been a fun tournament. I've caught a few games so far, and by the way, who was it? South Carolina's first game. They won 79-21. They gave up 4 points in the first half.
Oh yeah,
ridiculous. So South Carolina is kind of looking scary. They might be a threat for our bracket, especially because we had Iowa in the Final Four. So we'll see. But yeah, that's that. Anything else on the women's bracket that I missed?
Not really.
Okay. All right. NC State, they went 500 last week. Played a good was it Florida State they had the series with? Good Florida State team.
Mm-hmm.
Lost 2 out of 3. One was a 17-inning game.
Mm-hmm.
Their other game they beat Elon. Mm-hmm. I don't know. They're above 500. What are they? 11-8 on the year? Yeah. So I mean, NC State's still all right, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll keep checking in. Maybe they'll get hot, and then it'll be fun. And once this gets done with like college basketball, we'll probably pay a little bit more attention to them. Obviously, episode 1 decided we were going to follow them this year, so we'll see. Anything else with them though?
No.
Okay. Last thing, additional stories. Do you guys have anything you want to bring in? Like anything that you guys like found interesting? I have one thing. If you guys don't.
Go ahead.
All right. I got to pull it up. I'm going to screen share. So you guys know Vanderbilt, right?
Their baseball team?
Well, no, just Vanderbilt in general.
I don't know if it was about them getting a new logo or not.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Is it? Okay.
So you guys saw it, or you saw this at least, Beav.
Why would they get rid of the star, Jim?
Well, okay, so
it's a damn joke.
Yes, I did see it as well. I don't like it.
Well, we'll talk about it briefly. I'm pulling this up right now. I mean, it's getting kind of clowned on. Oh, is it not showing for you guys? Oh,
No,
it's showing. It freaking stinks.
I mean, this is funny. It says Vanderbilt's new logo looks like word art designed in Microsoft Paint, which, I mean, that had to be the easiest logo to design of all time. And they paid someone to do that, I'm sure. This couldn't come up with anything better than the History Channel logo knockoff. I mean, this said, at least center the V in the profile picture. They've done it across all accounts. I think they're doing it on purpose, which makes it so much worse. Random logo generator did a better job. I mean, they're just getting clowned. This is a logo a movie uses when they couldn't get the rights to Vanderbilt's logo. It's so bad.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I mean, I just think it's funny, but yeah, they're getting clowned on the internet, rightfully so. I don't know, not much else to say about it. I just thought it was kind of funny. But I thought the star one, it wasn't like the most like graphically incredible logo, but it was kind of cool, and it was
better than that.
Everyone knew of that logo, and
yeah,
I don't know, this just seems stupid. Obviously, I feel like a lot of brands have tried to go with the simpler approach, and people don't really like them. So I don't know why people keep going to them. Organizations do it, but yeah, that's that. I'll stop sharing. I don't know. I don't have much else. This was kind of an easier episode just because we're more or less going over things. In the last couple episodes, we've had so much to go over. You guys got anything else, though?
No, I don't.
Mm-mm.
All right, so that's it. And I can end the stream here so you guys don't have to leave, because I know I realized that last week. But yeah, that's episode 3. Thanks, guys. Thanks, anyone who ends up tuning into this. We'll be back next week with, I guess, Final Four preview and whatever else we come up with. I think we're kind of getting down to less basketball content, but that's all right. Yeah, good episode, guys. I don't think we had really too many blunders, so it's getting better. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Yep. Shout out, Libby.